afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our event titled Youth Taking a Stand, Gender Responsive and Inclusive Climate Action for Sustainable Climate Adaptation. We're honored to have the Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination as our host and UN Women as our co-host for this insightful discussion. I would like to now invite our panelists to join us on stage. We have with us Ms. Shajiha Khalid, Policy Associate for Climate Finance, Pakistan; Ms. Nana Amira, the founder of Green Welfare Indonesia; Ms. Mahmood Rashid, a climate change advocate and member of Young Pakistan; Ms. Rajiv Arifin, a community development practitioner and humanitarian worker from Bangladesh; Ms. Hira Amjad, a Quora-based Peace Building Fellow at the GNWP, founder and executive director of Dastak Foundation, Pakistan, and a prominent woman climate leader from Pakistan; Ms. Abby Sanig, an environmentalist, global advocate, and young climate negotiator from Gambia. Before formally starting our session, I would like to call to the podium my co-moderator for the afternoon, Mr. Intisar Aziz. Intisar Aziz is a dedicated disaster management student from the University of Peshawar who epitomizes a commitment to climate resilience.
Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today we gather here to recognize the transformative potential of youth-led climate action, particularly focusing on the efforts of youth, women who play a crucial role in climate adaptation and mitigation. With 68% of Pakistan's population being young people, the government's vision for youth involvement in climate action is integral and addressing the challenges posed by climate change. This event aims to shed light on best practices from Pakistan and the region in fostering synergies between youth-led and government-driven climate adaptation initiatives. Now, to commence our event, let's extend a warm invitation to Ms. Hafsa Rizwan, Project Lead, COP in My City, a youth-driven initiative by Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination, to brief us about this project.
Thank you so much, Intisar and Fiza, and I want to extend thanks to your women to give me this opportunity, and I'm really glad to see these young people in front of me and leading the stage, and I think by doing this we are setting an example. COP in My City, initiative by Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination, under the banner of Youth for Climate Change. Specifically, it's initiative where we want to present the youth of Pakistan, which is the largest population of Pakistan, more than about 70%, more than 68% of the population, to put their stance, to raise their voice on a platform which is reachable to the policymakers. That is the reason that we have our youth ambassadors, the winners of COP in My City, here at the pavilion today representing this session. So I would like you to give the overview of the whole initiative, how it started, what we did during the different stages of the program, and a little bit on the way forward. So I would like to share that with you for that.
Just acknowledging for this last week, an extraordinary journey, a journey that will shape the future, a journey that will lead to COP28. Our story begins in the Ministry of Climate Change. It was here that the first seeds of ambitious ideas, countless hours were spent meticulously planning every detail, making sure that no stone was left unturned. The team needed guidance, mentorship, and expertise. They set out to onboard mentors who could provide the necessary wisdom. Recognizing the power of our youth, the team wanted to provide a platform for these passionate voices to be heard. So an online registration process was launched that reached every corner of the nation. Universities, volunteers, and youth ambassadors from across Pakistan joined the cause, becoming key partners in this mission.
Climate Change Ladies Project initiated the next phenomenon COP in My City.
In the third chapter of our journey towards COP28, we shifted our focus to empowering the minds of our youth delegates through a series of online capacity building sessions.
Well, through the first quarter of 2020, a big part of our still suffers under COVID.
पाकिस्तान है 1% कंट्रीब्यूट करता है क्लाइमेट कंट्रोल लेकिन पाकिस्तान जो सफर कर रहा है वो 11%।
Commitment is already present in the law, even to us. But what it is
A symphony of passionate voices from every corner of Pakistan united by a common goal. To amplify those voices, to ignite change, and to be heard on the grand stage of COP28. Chapter 5 of our journey should compromisity.
Thank you for your time. One of the main features of this whole initiative is I want to highlight over here is that is the gender inclusivity. As you have seen that the population trend throughout the Pakistan, all the provinces has participated on that, and our vision while designing the program, while implementing the program was to give equal platform to our young girls. And you can see the information shared in the video as well that 55% of the girls have participated in that. 1,500 plus applications we received. 450 were the shortlisted applicants, and out of them 52 compete for the finals, and we have 8 finalists with us right now. That is a big achievement from the Minister's point of view as well. And when we talk about the next step or the way forward, when we started this initiative last year, we could do it just in one of the provinces. This year, we could do it in all the 6 provinces of the Pakistan. But the next year, we are taking this province to each and every district of Pakistan, and we want this opportunity to be given to all the young people in Pakistan. So if everybody cannot travel to COP internationally, we can bring COP to their cities, we can bring COP to their districts. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ma'am Hafsa, for your contributions in youth engagement in climate change within Pakistan. Now let's dive into our panel discussion, where we're going to be exploring youth voices and discuss how they contribute to climate adaptation. So let's begin with brief introduction of our esteemed panelists. We're starting with Shajiha.
Hello, am I audible? Hello everyone, I am Shajiha Khalid.
Ms. Tara.
And we focus on good education as well as teaching extensions, specifically inspired the young Indonesian girls having a strong passion for
Hi everyone, my name is Krish Pierre-Finn, I'm from Bangladesh. So I have an organization, it's called Awareness 360, which I built in 2014. And what we do is we empower young people in more than 40 countries. And we one of the focus areas is climate action, and then water sanitation and hygiene, youth empowerment and all of that. Also I'm the vice chairperson of the Commonwealth Student Association. And also I'm the former advisor of the Turkish Gender Equality Program under UNGC. Thank you so much.
Ms. Abby.
Good afternoon to you all. My name is Abby Sane. I'm from the Gambian environmentalist and also advocate and a youth negotiator on climate change for the Gambia. And for the Gambia, I'm most focused on gender issues, adaptation, and mitigation. And I think I have a lot more of that in the coming hours. Thank you.
Ms. Hira.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hiranjan, and I'm the founder and executive director of Dasar Foundation. That's among the many hats that I wear currently. I'm also working with UN Women as a Cora Wise Peace Building Fellow, and I'm an advisor at FRIDA Fund, Global Fund for Women and Women Win. My work is at the intersection of gender and climate crisis, and I'm very passionate about mainstreaming the experiences of young women and girls and how they disproportionately experience climate crisis. And I'm very excited to be representing Pakistan at the Pakistan Pavilion of Young Women Leaders from different parts of the region. Thank you.
I am basically a graduate of International Relations from National University of Pakistan, and I have been working as a team lead for Providing Justice Institute Rajasthan and Islamabad, where we started doing temporary floods and providing investor relief to women that were struggling in the floods. My main area of research as a researcher is the intersection of the gender and talent. So yeah.
Alright. I'd like to request all the panelists to please hold the mic closer to your mouth so that the audience that we have online can hear you as well. Alright. I'll start the panel discussion with the question to Ms. Hira. Can you provide your insights on youth and gender inclusivity in climate change, and how do you see its significance, specifically in the context of Pakistan? What would you have to say about that?
Thank you very much for this very, very important question. So basically, I'm a storyteller turned activist. I was a storyteller first. I used to make films and documentaries when I graduated. And 2 months ago, I was in Upper Chitral working in the flood impacted areas, and I went to provide flood relief, related material and stuff to women who were impacted in the region. And we were having a very tiny focus group discussion with climate refugees over there. And after the discussion, the women, they came to me and they said something which was very, very insignificant, might be very insignificant for people who are sitting right here, but it was very important to them. They said, we feel heard, we feel seen. For the first time, somebody has come during the disaster response and asked us what we need, what are our needs, which are not heard, not addressed by the response that has been delivered by the government so far. So one of the most important things that the youth is bringing to the forefront is the voices of the young women at the grassroots and community level. How women are impacted disproportionately by the climate crisis, how their needs are never or rarely ever addressed by the response of the government and the civil society organizations as well. Let's face the elephant in the room, which is patriarchy. So and the civil society organizations have always been dominated. These spaces have been dominated by men, and it's time that we come forward, we take those spaces, we acknowledge, we talk about what we need, and we represent all the women who are experiencing these floods, these wars orchestrated by men, by sitting on the tables where decisions are being made. So I think it's very, very important that we are given these platforms, not just here in global spaces, but in the national and regional spaces as well, so that we can mainstream how we are differently experiencing these conflicts and crises at the grassroots level. Thank you so much.
Well, we have seen that 80% of the people of worldwide are affected by climate change like this place. So they are women. So Abby, I have a question for you that what are your views on how gender responsive and inclusive climate action can contribute to sustainable climate adaptation, and what are some strategies you would suggest for promoting gender equality in climate change initiative and policies?
Thank you so much for the question. Gender responsive climate inclusive adaptation and sustainable development. I can say for Gambia's perspective, climate change has been something that has impacted women a lot in climate change, even in the rural areas. It has been something that has impacted women a lot.
I mean, don't stop it for a second. You're not audible.
Okay. Am I audible? Okay. Gender responsive and inclusive climate action for climate adaptation in the Gambia has been something that has really impacted women in the rural Gambia. And this has been a major challenge. Even though the government cannot take a big role in this, but the civil society organizations and the NGOs are playing a crucial role to make sure that these women have the right to be accommodated the right way. The other thing that we do is that we focus more on policy engagement. I personally realize that climate change education is something that is really lacking, and that these women that are affected by the impacts of climate change need to be aware and need to be educated about climate change. Without this education and awareness to them, and without the policy inclusiveness, it will be meaningless to them. So the impact of the climate change will be continuous. So the other thing that we also do is engage these women farmers into various climate change activities, so that, because they are the most impacted. Like each region, climate change impact differs. For that of the Gambia, we experienced flood last year, and as we all know, like the traditional living system, women take care of everything. So these people are face serious challenges, and they don't even know what are the consequences or what to do next. You understand? So we basically looking at policy, population with the government to make sure that gender and climate change is something that is mainstream in our national curriculum. That is our key main takeaway. And looking at the global, looking at the advocacy level as well, this is something that I can see many young children from Gambia are now becoming well realized by climate change effects. The El-Koi Gambia, which we host this year, has also been something that really impacted a lot. At least we were able to get people from all over the regions in the Gambia to be participating in this El-Koi. And then today as I'm speaking, we have at least 10 plus youths, female youths across the Gambia that are present at the COP here, playing a very big role with regards to climate change. And as the youth advisor to the UNFCCC happens to be a Gambian youth partisan who is also playing a big role in terms of climate change advisory. So I believe gender responsiveness is something that should be handled strictly. There should be a balance. As the saying goes, what a man can do, a woman can do as well. So I think women need to be included. They need to be seen, and they need to be heard. And as I'm standing today and with my colleagues here, and I believe that in the near future, in the next 3 to 4, 5 years time, the agenda will change, and women power, women will be included, and women will be seen all around the world. And thank you.
Thank you, Abby, for this wonderful answer. Shajia, there is plenty of data that suggests women participation in climate change is really significant. UN Women also found that expanding women's access to productive resources can increase agricultural production and simultaneously ensure food security and reduce carbon dioxide emission. What are some of the, sorry, you've advocated for this thing that women's inclusion and change. Can you tell us why do you think it's important and what are some of the misconceptions about women's involvement in workplace that exclude women from climate work?
Am I audible? Okay. So, first of all, Fiza, thank you so much for the spotlight. I want to start off by saying that yes, it's important that women be recipients of climate action, that they be on the receiving end of these programs. But you cannot have women be active recipients and have an impact in terms of climate action without women being equal in the delivery of climate action as well. And here I want to emphasize that everyone in the back should also listen to this because it's part of your institutional program. It's part of your institutional programming. You cannot have a gender-responsive climate program if your delivery team is comprised of men. That simply cannot happen. And why do I say this? There are two reasons. Number one, because women can understand how to include gender in your programs way more than men. That's self-explanatory, but it's not understood by the majority of program deliveries in the Global South. We have seen cases where after the 2022 floods in Pakistan, when relief kits were being delivered to women, men in the delivery programs included flour and they included rice, they included first aid kits, but they did not include sanitary and menstrual pads. Mahmood from Hawali Justice can elaborate on how her organization rose up to ensure that women had access to sanitary pads because male-led relief programs fail to accommodate for gender. And we have seen cases where women have talked to us and told us that they were forced to bleed in puddles. Is that not against the dignity of womanhood? Is that not against the dignity of humanity? The second reason why it's important for your team to have women included is because women can reach female participants in conservative societies where their access to public space is limited. There are many farming programs and farming capacity buildings that happen in the Global South. However, when you disaggregate their participation by gender, you will find out that of perhaps 3,000 participants, maybe 20 will be women. And the excuse that these program delivery teams come up with is that women don't want to participate. Or maybe there just aren't enough women in farming communities. Even though the International Labour Organization has assessed that around 60% of paid and unpaid labor in Pakistani farms and fields is women. Why are they not represented in your program participation? It is because you do not have women that can go into these participants' homes and deliver sessions to them in a way that it is in line with not just their conservative family values, it is also in line with their choice for whether they want to be seen in public space or not. With this in mind, having assessed that you need at least 50% of your team to be women-led if you want your programs to be gender responsive, there are 3 calls to action that I want everyone who is present to follow when they lead or hire for their organizations. Number 1, have an outreach program in local universities where you ensure that there is a quota for female interns. And you should also make this class conscious. So try not to make these internships unpaid, because if you're making unpaid internships, what you're ensuring is only the upper class women are able to register. The second call to action is make sure that your organization goes to a gender sensitivity workshop every 6 months, not just once at the start of a woman being onboarded in your team. And the third call to action is make sure that women are included in because of the technical expertise, not just because they can speak on gender, because that is often what happens where if the topic is climate finance, you'll see an all-male panel, but as soon as it's gender in climate finance, that is the only space that you will see a majority of women participants, which I think is, it needs to change for sure. So these 3 calls to actions, there are more. Gender sensitivity and unlearning the patriarchy is a lifelong challenge, and it is the hope that conversations like these
Manu, can you comment on what Shadia ma'am said regarding women vulnerability on climate catastrophe?
Yeah, sure. So my context is that of floods of 2022. So I will just paint a picture in front of you. Imagine there are 33 million people who have been displaced or affected by floods, and then there are 650,000 women who are pregnant in those floods. And then there are women who are of reproductive age who are also stranded up in those floods. And then there is a relief project, a response project that is going on, which does not address their specific needs. Like majority of those pregnant women were, by the way, in their third trimester, so they had to give birth during that flood. So none of the disaster risk reduction or management policies were gender responsive. So as Shadia mentioned, that when we started this campaign, we basically packaged the menstrual relief kits and then went to those communities, and the people who were receiving those kits were majorly men. So they refused to take them. They said that we don't need them, we need food, give us food, or give us clothes, we don't need clothes. They don't understand that what does it mean for a woman to need to wear clothes because of this conservative society and culture we have. It creates a mark on her dignity, and in order to ensure dignified menstruation, it is the responsibility of these institutions and these programs and the government and the policies to ensure that their structures and policies are gender responsive in all forms and aspects as possible. Now, I just quoted like Mahwali Justice. She's the owner or the founder of Dastak. There is Better, then there is Mother Balochistan. All of these are led by young women. I want to emphasize on this that just think that what would happen if we properly mobilize and finance these projects and these programs. They're already doing so much on the ground level. They are in touch with the communities, they know the needs of these communities, they are led by the women. But what tragedy is that they don't have the finance. For example, only 0.76% of the climate finance funding is given to the youth-led initiative. Only 0.76%. That is literally nothing, and most of that is also based only for the youth-led initiatives. So this is where we need to intervene, and we need to make policies more gender responsive and help or mobilize and finance these youth-led initiatives for a better effective climate adaptation, just transition, or
Thank you, Mark. Nala, and I probably say, we've seen this thing, as Adi rightly mentioned, is that climate change, this climate discourse, it's not mentioned, it's not as mainstream within education sector as it should be, specifically in secondary level education. What do you think the role that media can specifically play in mobilizing women and youth into this climate adaptation and mitigation efforts? How do you think the media can play?
Okay, so when we talk about climate adaptation specifically, women and individuals are constantly there is a very, very low education, let alone gender inclusive information on climate risk and adaptation in general. And so in Green Law for Asia, we usually we have a program every month where we visit communities, especially kindergarten communities, as well as orphanages, and teach them they're the ones who's the most impacted from climate change, but they don't know what's happening in their space. And when we ask around, how important different climate is, so they want to know what climate is. So it's kind of interesting. Indonesia and Southeast Asia is so low, and it's very disconnected. But I think in general, in Indonesia itself, there is a very strong movement and a growing movement in youth-led initiatives that are moving. So we've talked about the bad sides of women equality and all, but in Indonesia, I'm really glad to see that there's a huge number of female academics, female scientists, as well as climate activists. And Indonesia is actually the other way around because there are so many female climate activists that care about gender equality, and there are just less to zero men that actually care about climate action. Even the delegation from Indonesia at this COP, we have around 30 delegations and around 25 women men. And I know this is a good thing, but then we need, when we talk about gender equality, we need both genders to be equal and care about this issue. We don't need more men. We don't need more men or more women. We're not choosing. We need both of them to have equal stands. Of course, in Indonesia, what I see is that just women have a more sensitive and empathetic and sympathetic approach to gender equality and sensitivity. And so I think when I see the disconnection in Indonesia itself is that men isn't just prone to, they're not sensitive enough to problems like this, and we need to bring that area as well. So from COP, this is my first COP, and what I realized is that I was watching most of the presidential and national statements, and most of the presidential statements that came from women actually had really, really strong, ambitious goals for the countries. I think it was Finland or Hungary. It was from Hungary. Hungary had 85% renewable energy, and she was just very sensitive and dedicated about it when she talked about it. And so it's amazing to see all this transformation. In Indonesia itself, the Minister of Environment in our country is a woman, as well as the Minister of Finance is a woman, and they've been ministers for a decade, and that's a very common stance for them to have a power and position. So I think for women who's believe in climate education itself, it's so important to take all of these challenges and just break the barrier. We need to talk more about it, because we talk about gender equality and climate change nowadays only when we need to. Like right now, it's panels and we gotta talk about it, but we need to make it something that's more of a norm, especially to people who don't know about it in the first place. Like what I said, young children, what equality means.
Thank you, Nala. Manu, concerning the highly tradition-bound conservative society within Pakistan, we have witnessed that climate catastrophe, that cultural barrier act as a major problem to data collection. So how do you see us overcoming this problem or barrier?
So, I told you that I researched on the intersection of gender and climate change. And I was doing this research, and I was trying to look for data on menstruation and reproduction and stuff like that. And the tragedy was that there was literally no data available, and whatever was available was not up to date. So this cannot work because data forms the basis for are being affected. So data is needs to be, gender specific data needs to be produced, but most importantly it needs to be produced unbiasedly, because we see that whenever data is being produced, most of the researchers and the data collectors and the entire program is being set by people that themselves are not women, for example. So what ends up being produced is not a unbiased report. So it does not tell you a true picture of what is happening. So, however, as Intisar mentioned, that even during our campaigns, one of the issues that we faced was that people are not really, they don't let you easily access information about their homes and even how many women are living in them. So I believe one of the ways that we can navigate it is build trust within the communities and work with them, sit with them and respect their culture, respect their values, no matter how conservative or different they might be than your own values. And it is important to respect essentially, and to build trust with them and to make allies with them. So yeah.
Thank you, madam. Okay, so Rajab, we've seen Bangladesh is well known worldwide for women empowerment. It's something that we all see as really empowering for the entire world. But how would you connect that to climate change, and what do you think are the key takeaways that not only the world can take, but specifically to South Asia that we can take in order to mobilize youth and women in climate adaptation?
Thank you so much. First of all, a big thank you for letting me be part of this panel, because all of us are kind of women and I'm the only man, and we see this scenario, but it's like other way around. Like mostly it's just a man and then just one where like two women. So thank you so much for that. And to address your question, I think Bangladesh is achieving those goals where gender equality is there, but we are also lagging behind in terms of having a lot of policies which are gender inclusive. So currently we are working in the one of the most climate vulnerable community in Bangladesh, in the southern part of Bangladesh. It's a coastal region. So we are working in this particular island. It's called Shapurite. In this island, it's full of Rohingya refugees. But these refugees, they come to Bangladesh back in 1980s. So the recent influx of the Rohingya refugees, everyone, all the UN initiatives, all the NGOs, they're only focusing on the recent influx of the Rohingya refugees. But this particular community, they have been, ignored for so many years. They don't even have the national identity cards. So we are one of the few organizations who are, getting the permission to work there. So while working there, we have noticed that a lot of people, mostly women and girls, they have been, deprived of a lot of rights. So they don't have proper access of the clean water and sanitation, menstrual hygiene kits. So we are trying to provide those, but the challenges that we are seeing there, it's just beyond my explanation. So young girls, they kind of queue for the water for hours because guys usually, most of them are fishermen, so they go for catch the fish, and women and girls, they're kind of forced to go fetch the water. So because of that, they're missing out of schools, they're missing out of a lot of opportunities. And they're being uneducated because of these issues. If we move to other global south countries, so my organization, we're working in the Eastern African countries, Central African countries. So what we see is in Cameroon, they have loads of problems. They have female genital mutilation problem. They have water crisis as well. So women and girls, they travel miles and miles of path to just to fetch water every day, and because of that, they're missing out of a lot of opportunities. But we don't really focus on those. I saw this, I saw this data yesterday somewhere in this presentation, and they were saying there are 200 million women who waste 200 million hours of time the women waste just to fetch water. So this is insane, So these are not just data, like these are happening in real life while we're having this panel. So we need to kind of focus on this, like while we are talking about the achievements that we are having in different countries. We need to celebrate those achievements, but at the same time, we are also need to kind of focus on the communities which are being ignored for years, just like the Rohingya refugees. Also, Bangladesh is one of the few Muslim countries where prostitution is legal. So my organization it works for the sex worker communities, and they're also very environmental, climate vulnerable community. They don't have the wash facilities, they don't have the sanitation facilities. So what we do is we kind of teach them how to conduct the menstrual hygiene practices and personal hygiene as well. And we also teach them how to make the sustainable pads, sanitary pads. So we kind of need to, so we are one of the few organizations in Bangladesh which is doing all of these things, but we need this holistic approach from the government, from all sets of communities who can help us. So whenever we're having this kind of discussions, we include the young people, but we also need to kind of focus that we are not doing it just to tick the boxes, So we need to take the young people seriously, and also I think one of our panelists, she was talking about how the funds, most of the funds are going towards some other spaces, but when we are talking about including the young people, young girls and women, they're not getting the funds. I remember when I started my organization back in 2014, nobody really took us seriously because we used to teach the community how to wash hands. But after COVID, people realized how important it is to learn the steps of washing hands. So nobody took us seriously, but after COVID, now people are seeing the importance of those things, and now they're taking us seriously. And I think young people have the power to change the future, and it's time that we take the young people seriously, and I think that's the young people are the answer. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ranjit. I'm going to ask you a follow-up question. We have seen globally, as you rightly mentioned and all the other participants mentioned, men's gender equality in climate discourse. What would you say?
I think the education about gender equality and the difference between equity and equality, we need to understand that first, because we always talk about equality, but we kind of ignore equity, and without equity we cannot achieve equality. So we need to teach the young boys what those things mean, and it's a very great question, because the allyship, the male support, it's extremely important, because gender equality, it's not women issue, it's a human rights issue, right? So we need to teach the school kids. We need to kind of from the ground level, from the very young age, we need to educate those young kids what is gender equality and how women are equal to men, and all of those things. I think we need to start from the scratch. We need to put those education into the national curriculum as well when we teach the young boys and young girls. And I think this is one of the things. And also, having different workshops, mobilizing young people in the grassroots, because when we talk about gender equality, I think we do it mostly in the cities. We don't really go to the grassroots. We don't really teach the the grassroots communities, because when we approach the grassroots community, because my organization, we work in the grassroots, and we see how less the awareness in the grassroots is, because most of the people, most of the young women and girls, they're facing a lot of gender-based violence there, and nobody is kind of tracking those things in the grassroots area. So I think we need to educate the grassroots community, and also focusing on the young boys as well, while teaching the gender equality and teaching them how gender equality is not only the women issue. Thank you so much.
Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So, you are male and you are working, you said you work for menstrual hygiene. So how do you...
Thank you. My question was that being a male working in a country like Bangladesh, while working on menstrual hygiene where menstruation is kind of taboo in Asian countries, how did you overcome the cultural barriers while you were advocating for that?
Thank you so much. So I actually have a personal story to share. So when I started my social work journey, it was like 12 years ago when I was really little. My parents didn't support me because, like growing up in the developing countries, if you were doing social work, you are not earning any money. You are not like, people think that this is something which is not very concrete, right? So my parents were like that, and I didn't get those support. But I have a very personal story to share. So when I was very young, I was sexually harassed, and that particular incident actually kind of made me realize I'm not the only person in the society who face those experiences, and there are other people who are facing that, and regardless of the gender, but mostly girls and women are facing those issues. So I could resonate with them. And I think it made me understand the importance of that inclusivity, the importance of that holistic approach. And I think these experiences, these life experiences, kind of made me realize that it's not the women issue, and it's everyone's issue. And I think like my personal story kind of influenced me to kind of work in that particular space. But when I call myself a feminist, I think the word itself, it's kind of like a taboo in a country like Bangladesh. And when I started my journey, I couldn't even share this to like my friends, because they would be mocking me. They'd be like, "Oh, you're a guy that you're like supporting girls, where you're doing all of these things." But it took me a lot of time just to educate them. And I started my journey by educating my family first, because I think like if I want to change the world, I need to start from my family. So I think my journey started when I started kind of educating my mom, my dad, and then this is how it started. Thank you.
I'd like to open up the floor for question and answers.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think you are the star of this talk. And I think this session particularly gives a lot of hope. So you are also a star for our future as well. My name is Aftab, and I am CEO of Resilient Future International. I have worked in over 35 countries in developing climate resilient solutions, and also working on gender equity. My suggestion is that for making men sensitized, I think trainings are very important. You cannot kill this patriarchy in one session. You have to have a constant rollout of trainings, one. Secondly, you have to target 3 or 4 stakeholders: parents, teachers, and religious leaders. Sometimes the inappropriate interpretation of our religion in fact contributes towards patriarchy. So I think we need to work on these areas. In terms of research, I think it's very important, research and data. I am currently working with students of various universities, helping them in conducting research, particularly connecting their thesis with climate change, whatever subject it may be. Economics, engineering, agriculture, health science, whatever. So I'm ready to work with you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your comments. Do you have any other questions? All right, I think that is it. Thank you all for being part of this insightful discussion. We have seen a convergence of views regarding youth and women in climate change adaptation and mitigation, and we're really glad to have you all over here with us. You all have been motivating not only for us students that participate in climate negotiations and work in this area, but for other people as well. We really appreciate the contributions of the distinguished speakers, panelists, and audience members. Let's continue working together for a sustainable and resilient future. With that, I officially close this side event. On behalf of the Ministry of Climate Change and Environmental Coordination and UN Women, I thank you all and have a wonderful week ahead.
Thank you very much. Maybe you can just keep on sitting and take a few pictures. नहीं, this is just the panel. अभी हाँ, अब group photo लेते हैं. Well, let's go for the group photo.
Yeah, please. Proceed.
चलो जी, let's go.
Done.